Hi there, everyone. I think we're about ready to make a start. So thanks for everyone joining us today. I hope you're all here looking for the webinar we're preparing, the Security for Office 365 webinar. So I'm just going to have a quick run through of the agenda, what's going to go through in today's session, a quick overview of OCG, and the main chunk of it was taken by Pete, talking about security for Office 365 and the solution Mimecast, followed up by some next steps and some questions. So my name is Robin Timon. I'm one of the account managers here at OCG, focusing in the area of legal, insurance, and financial services. So just a quick overview of who OCG are. We strongly focus on kind of three main areas to kind of enable mobility. Focusing on, as you can see in the slide there, focusing on hybrid identity, device management, and information protection. As users now want to be able to access things from wherever they want and whatever device they want, we see these three areas as really key to enabling that to happen, with identity really being kind of the core to hold that all together, really. So just a bit more regarding kind of who OCG are. So we are recognised as the industry experts on Microsoft's identity solutions and also on enterprise mobility. We're a consulting and managed service provider, specifically for Microsoft solutions. We're authors of Microsoft's original training courses for identity management, and we're doing this for the previous kind of 15 years. We're a Microsoft Red Carpet partner for enterprise mobility, and have deployed over 700 enterprise projects and trained over 7,000 delegates. In this time, we've been recognised from Microsoft for being Partner of the Year for the previous 2 years, or finalist or winner since 2007. In terms of Office 365 specifically, our kind of history and pedigree is quite strong in this area. As I say, we are the industry experts in Microsoft's identity and cloud solutions. We're the original authors of Microsoft's Office 365 and Outlook MAs, and also have trained Microsoft's own solutions on how to deliver Office 365. We've delivered over 100 Office 365 deployments and put 7 million people up in Office 365 seats. And as I say, we've had the recognition from that with the Partner of the Year awards. So what I'd like to do now is to pass over to Pete, just to show you some of kind of the main chunk of the slide, and kind of follow on from there. So I'll just unmute Pete now. Hi, Pete, you there?
Yes, hi, good morning. Thanks for that, Robin.
That's all right.
Okay, hi, this is Pete Banham here from Mimecast. What I'm going to do over the next 25 minutes is take you through
Oh, seems to have dropped out there. 1 second.
Sorry, folks, some slight technical difficulties.
Seems to have dropped out there. 1 second. Sorry, I'll get it back for you. Are you seeing anything, Pete, yet, or it's come up, or?
Just the opening screen. There we go, I can see your screen now.
Perfect. Sorry about that, everyone. Not quite sure what happened, but. Brilliant. So, Pete, can you control it now?
Yes, that looks fine. Thank you very much. Okay, so back to the task in hand. What I'm going to do over the next sort of 20-25 minutes is talk a bit around mitigating cloud risk with multi-vendor resilience and security. So just to introduce myself, my name is Pete Banham here, and I work for Mimecast in the European region. So it's really my duty to work with our new business teams and guide our new customers and prospects through their Mimecast deployment and how they realise the full value of that solution. So if we just take a look at the existing situation then, cloud office system adoption is definitely growing. So to date, the majority of office systems, including email, have been running on premises, but there is a clear growing movement towards the cloud. Actually, according to Gartner, as of 2014, second quarter, around 10%, so that's about 67 million mailboxes of enterprise office system users have moved to cloud deployments, and most have really focused on email and not necessarily the broad range of capabilities on offer. So while some organisations might move straight to the cloud, most will likely take a hybrid approach, with some users on premises and others in the cloud, and some using a combination of on-premises and cloud services. So a good example of this would be, say, Exchange on-premises or hosted with perhaps something else for cloud archiving, or perhaps an alternate site for business continuity. Hybrid environments are increasingly being adopted as a way for organisations to start becoming cloud ready. Some may stay in this state long term, while for others it's a stepping stone to full cloud deployment. So then at the other end of the scale, Gartner are expecting around 25% of enterprise market will use cloud office systems and email by the end of 2017. So it's not too far away. So you're looking at the next 18 months or so. And that will actually grow to 50% by the end of year 2020, hitting critical mass of 90% by 2027. For many looking at cloud enterprise office systems, Microsoft Office 365 is currently the leading cloud office platform and really offers significant advantages. And most of those that are realised or generally available seem to be things around familiarity, the fact that everybody uses Microsoft Office either personally or at work. Flexibility, so the ability with plans and integrating existing systems. Predictable costs. Then there's the all-in-one scenario, so being able to amalgamate multiple systems into one vendor, and the strong SLAs that they provide around their existing service. So email is mission critical then. So it's undeniable that for the majority of businesses, email is mission critical service, relied on for organisations and external communications. So how would your organisation survive without it, or how would you manage during an email outage of hours or potentially even days? It's key to drive employee productivity and often integrates deeply with other business systems and processes, not to mention customers, suppliers and partners. So really, email is the lifeblood of the majority of corporate communications. Mimecast's own industry surveys have shown that around 84% of intellectual property will reside somewhere within your email system. So due to that fact then, it's also the primary access point to the outside world. This means that it's the easiest conduit for the leakage of confidential information, whether that be accidental or on purpose, and also the first port of call for attackers trying to steal your important intellectual property. As a result of these factors, it's also the largest single concentration of risk in most organisations. So therefore, really, mitigating these risks is a business imperative. So if we look more historically, you've always invested to mitigate these risks on premises. Like most organisations, you have likely chosen to augment your investment in Microsoft Exchange with additional best-of-breed technologies to mitigate these risks. So a good example of that was you replicated your Exchange servers to add redundancy and protect against system failure. And also you backed up your data locally for operational recovery, so you could restore those single items, for example, or you sent a copy off-site for real hard disaster recovery, protecting against the risk of data loss, corruption, malicious damage, accidental damage, and a whole host of other potential risks. So you also deployed multi-layered security to mitigate these risks of data leak and inbound attack. So most of our customers before moving to Mimecast will have had some other perimeter defense, just because that is simply what's considered best practice from a security scenario. So thereby you ensure the highest levels of protection, including antivirus, anti-spam, content control, so that could include things like data leak prevention, advanced and targeted attack protection, so dealing with a really new scenario of advanced persistent threats. You archive data to overcome legal and regulatory risks, but this also enabled the rapid discovery of verifiable historical content, so that can be used from a productivity perspective or also from a business process perspective. In our experience working with customers, we're generally able to classify these risks into three main areas. The first of which being the security risk, so protecting both your employees and your intellectual property. Then you have the data assurance risk, which is critical to industries such as legal and insurance. It's really about protecting your data from inadvertent or malicious destruction, and that can be for a variety of reasons. Then also you have the uptime risk, and that is ensuring that email remains up at all times, as it really is mission critical. So even with a move to the cloud, email remains a material concentration of risk. It's still a material store of data that must be protected and secured, and ensuring the service is always available remains critical. So moving your infrastructure then to Office 365 should really, on the face of it, reduce the cost and complexity of your environment. It should also simplify your email infrastructure. It also appears that many of the technologies you augmented Exchange with in the past have been absorbed into Office 365. So this is really around the peripherals of your email system, your email management. Does this mean that risk you sought to originally mitigate with that technology has been eliminated in this new scenario? The reality is, fundamentally, those risks still remain, and they still have to be mitigated. In an Exchange world, the best practice methodologies to mitigate risks, excuse me, I just lost my screen, there we go. So, excuse me, I'll start again. In an Exchange world, the best practice methodologies to mitigate risks were well tried, tested, and documented. In the move to Office 365, they're not, because we just don't have the depth of 10, 15, 20 years experience that we have with previous Exchange deployments. Depending on Office 365 to mitigate those risks means complete reliance on Microsoft and what they've decided. Or rather that you're hoping that the features Office 365 provides are good enough for your existing organization, they're sufficient to mitigate the email management risks that you potentially face. Unfortunately, hope isn't really a recognized strategy in these scenarios, nor is total reliance on a single vendor. And it's a bit irresponsible to abdicate the management of your risk to a single vendor in this scenario. The responsibility for that risk really remains squarely with you and your IT team, just as it did before. You're the ones that will suffer the most in the event of an issue. So let's take a look at the three key risk categories and see how they can play out in an Office 365 driven world. So first up, we have security. And with Office 365 alone, you rely on what's called EOP, or Exchange Online Protection. So once again, this is a single vendor service. Does it provide the same multi-layered, multi-vendor service you achieve with your existing on-premises infrastructure? So including things like antivirus, anti-spam, data leak prevention, defense in depth, etc. Threats continue to evolve. So does it protect you from new and emerging threats, including things like advanced persistent threats, such as spear phishing? So these kinds of targeted attacks. Big brands have already been caught by these types of attacks, including RSA, including Target, including New York Times, and including other companies in the news recently, such as various large electronics companies. It's estimated that these types of attacks cost brands and businesses over $98 billion a year, and the threat certainly isn't shrinking. So in short, it doesn't really. The security risks you mitigated against on premises are therefore not adequately covered here with Office 365. So the next category then is what we would class as data integrity. So on premises, you protected against data loss, corruption, and malicious activity. This isn't just best practice, it's a fiduciary responsibility. With Office 365 alone, you lose an independent, verifiable copy or backup of your data and the ability to restore it in the case of data loss. While there may be a belief that Microsoft protects and can recover your data, this is not always the case, and therefore the risk of data loss, corruption, etc. does actually remain. So a good example of this would be to the need to apply legal hold on every mailbox for retention. So for example, that's a capability that's within Office 365. You could stick all your mailboxes on there within legal hold. So a prime example would be an user error here. An administrator misconfigures the retention management of data some time back. You only discover this now, and you have no way of recovering that data due to the mandatory retention rules that are implied on Office 365. This was no fault of Microsoft's, but it was a risk you failed to mitigate against. Or another good example would be the single vendor approach. A single vendor simply cannot offer full resilience on data that they only hold. So for example, a service upgrade may have potentially damaged some kind of a cluster. You would expect systems to be in place to recover that, but that isn't necessarily, it might be your responsibility, but it might not be within your control. So 95% of organizations are at least somewhat confident their SaaS vendor can restore their data. However, only 58% of businesses that utilize SaaS have suffered a data loss of some kind in the last 12 months. And that's research carried out by IDG. So this really shows a misplaced expectation or assumption that SaaS vendors can fully mitigate against data loss. The only way to assure your data and mitigate the risks of loss is to use a third party to help. So providing a complete independent copy of your data that can be queried and searched. So the third risk identified here really is business continuity. So on premises, you invested in DR infrastructure and likely had a solid business continuity plan to mitigate the risk of email being unavailable. With Office 365, while Microsoft has redundant infrastructure, it is all a part of the same architecture and platform. That's fundamental, and is therefore susceptible to problems that they alone cannot fully mitigate, and therefore remains a risk to your business. So in essence, Microsoft becomes a single point of failure for your messaging environment. If you refer recently to the highly publicised Office 365 outage affecting North America in June 2014, although that outage may have only affected a certain number of users for a certain amount of time, it goes to show that that actual threat is very real. So really, the only way to mitigate against an Office 365 risk is to use a third-party cloud service. This is the same approach you took on premises, bringing in best-of-breed solutions so you had optionality as well, while maintaining that freedom of choice. This approach remains the best option to mitigate cloud risks. The approach of using multi-cloud services to provide adequate protection and risk is becoming more mainstream. So there is a recent Forrester research article where they talk about the cloud-to-cloud backup use case. So that's called Back Up Your Critical Cloud Data Before It's Too Late, for your reference. Importantly, and as the Forrester research demonstrates, the third party must be a cloud service too, so that you don't end up being tethered back to the LAN. So the benefits of cloud cannot be fully realized until you have all of those solutions up there in the cloud. So i.e. third-party on-premises solutions simply do not fit this new cloud architecture. So Mimecast is the best solution provider to mitigate these risks when you move to Office 365. So simplifying email management in the cloud is Mimecast's core competence. We've been doing it for over a decade. Critically, our technology and service delivery methodology seamlessly support multiple deployment methods, whether that be on-premises, hybrid, and cloud. We've worked closely with customers and industry specialists to understand the specific challenges and new risks faced when moving off on-premises email infrastructure. A combined Office 365 Mimecast solution therefore mitigates the risks of moving email to the cloud. Mimecast services are 100% cloud-based, seamlessly integrating with Office 365 to fully support and enhance the drivers for 365 adoption. So we're looking at removing the LAN tethers that keep you tied to your network. We've already helped many organizations like yours mitigate the risks of a move to Office 365 with targeted services that fully leverage our integrated and unified email management capabilities and offer a robust, scalable cloud platform relied upon by over 13,000 customers and 3.5 million users worldwide. We've developed a suite of services specifically designed to support organisations already using Office 365 and those planning a move. They address key security, business continuity and data resilience needs, as well as addressing migration and management related challenges. So from a security perspective, we have something called broad spectrum email security, which offers a multi-layer gateway security to complement Exchange Online protection, including antivirus and anti-spam, and also protection against advanced persistent threats, so those targeted attacks and spear phishing that every organisation is now becoming aware of. From a data resilience perspective, we have the idea of data assurance, so an independent, immutable data archive or backup which will protect you against loss, corruption and malicious activity. Using legacy archive data management services, we have the ability to absorb historic data, providing a single accessible repository of historic email in the cloud. It's cost effective and also proactively managed, which helps speed up Office 365 migration. From a service availability perspective, the idea of mailbox continuity as an always-on inbox in the event of an Office 365 outage, fully accessible. So, critically, Mimecast delivers a unified risk management solution for Office 365, helping to mitigate security, integrity, availability risks 100% from a cloud service. So if we just have a quick look at security and protection with Mimecast, we offer comprehensive protection. So the key themes here are really around the Mimecast Secure Email Gateway, which provides extensive protection, including antivirus, anti-spam, reputation analysis, malware, and zero-day attack protection. We can also add capabilities to this to further limit the potential for an impact of breach, including data leak prevention, secure messaging, and content controls. We now offer the availability or the ability to extend the gateway to provide spear phishing protection through post-delivery real-time analysis. So that can be of websites. Each and every time a user clicks on a link in an email, it provides protection across all devices on and off the network. So a unified security stack means rapid setup, streamlined integrated management, and we offer a fully integrated approach to enterprise security delivered 100% from the cloud. So above and beyond, Mimecast adds additional value services over and above what is available within 365. So stationary, the ability to add content and outbound emails to support corporate marketing and legal policies. So with example to multi-brand organisations, this has proved a very valid and useful piece of functionality. We have secure messaging, which is a user-friendly secure channel for sending and receiving sensitive information via email, and also large file send. So the ability to send and receive emails of up to 2 GB in size seamlessly, bypassing the restrictions and limitations that you may have with your hosted provider. Also mobile and desktop end-user self-service applications, allowing end-users to rapidly search and access their data, and also platform functionality. And then there's the ability to selectively purge data in the archive. So rather than offer an all-or-nothing retention of either user-controlled or keep everything forever, Mimecast is able to offer the ability of complex retention and adjustment needs. The document services also, the ability to automatically convert and read documents on the fly, stripping metadata and adding watermarks and other functionality. And then there's the ability to handle complex routing and policy management. So effectively managing complex organizations that could span multiple sites and multiple architectures. So we'll just take a look at a quick customer example of exactly where Mimecast has helped with their existing setup. So this customer had already migrated to Office 365, and their key pain points were around sending secure messages to external third parties. They also felt increasingly vulnerable to spear phishing attacks. So sending secure emails of Office 365 was seen as cumbersome, with the requirement to build certificate-based trust models with third parties. Their workaround here was actually to use a product that encrypted documents that could then be attached to an email. But this was tricky and required the communication of the decryption key to the recipient. There is no inherent protection against phishing within Office 365. So by adding Mimecast, the users can now send secure encrypted emails by simply putting the keyword in the subject line or body of the email. This was important as the most common senders of confidential emails are executives and managers, and they wanted something that was very straightforward and easy to understand. They're also now protected against phishing and spear phishing attacks. Again, the key beneficiaries are the executives. Just one more example here. This is slightly off topic, but it's a leading online car buying selling site. But once again, they had purchased Office 365 but were unable to deploy. So their key challenge was the ability to receive emails from a number of different customers that actually exceeded the restrictions placed within the Office 365 platform. So Mimecast services address this pain by effectively using functionality within the platform called attachment strip on link, which meant that the images were still able to come through to Office 365 and the users could still access those directly through the Mimecast platform. So they're now sitting in a position where they can fully roll out Office 365 with no hindrance. So just a couple of customer examples here, and we have over 13,500 customers, of which many are using the Office 365 platform. So we would say that the best way to move to Office 365 would be to mitigate your risks and move with Mimecast. So this slide just quickly goes over something that was done by Forrester recently, whereby Mimecast services were proven to reduce cost and complexity of managing email. So those customers surveyed achieved a 102% ROI in just 3 years. And once again, the cloud service extends down to on-premises systems as well. So there was elements such as decommissioning legacy solutions, saving $30,000, integrated reliable email continuity solution with a cost avoidance associated of $79,000. So just a recap of Mimecast, it's an enterprise cloud email and data security and archiving company, founded in 2003. Now we have offices all over the world in the US, Europe, South Africa and Australia with over 500 staff. This slide, slightly out of date, is now 13,000 organizations and 3.5 million end users. And we have an actual email data repository of around 26 petabytes of customer data, adding over 100 terabytes of data a month. We look forward to continued success with our customers, and our renewal rate is around 97%. So that really concludes what I have to say. So back over to Robin.
That's brilliant. Thanks a lot, Pete. So I suppose just a quick bit of kind of the next steps following on from the webinar. I suppose the first one is we have a specific event coming up, hosted with ourselves and Mimecast at Old Trafford. I know that might put some of you off, but some of you might like a tour of it as well. All around Office 365, kind of how deployments work, how to make it happen really, and what the benefits Mimecast can offer to that as well. Mimecast are also offering kind of one-to-one meetings or demo of the solution. So this is something you want to kind of find out more about and how it kind of fit with your specific solution. We can arrange that for you as well. And we also offer cloud discovery workshops, so a chance to kind of find out how your move to the cloud would work, how we kind of look in the end, and really figuring out what kind of a roadmap to how it's going to get there. So I suppose just finally, just want to see if anyone's got any questions at all for us. I haven't seen any come through at all, but if anyone's got them from now, it'd be great to kind of open them up. Okay, well, we haven't seen any come through yet, so thank you very much for your time. Thanks a lot for your help, Pete. That was brilliant. And if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with myself. We'll be sending out a recording of this to all the people who attended and who registered. so we had to see it on demand. And I'd say the event up in Manchester should be a really good opportunity to kind of find out more around kind of how helping deploy Office 365, but also how the Mimecast solution can help. So thank you very much for your time, everyone. Cheers.